Hello, everyone, and welcome to Tiger Talk. Gerard Welbrock with you as we talk Fort Hays State basketball with women's coach Tony Hobson and men's coach Mark Johnson.
On the Tiger Sports Network, this is Tiger Talk, live from the Golden Q in Hays. The Golden Q, dining, billiards, and more at 809 Ash, the Golden Q. If the game is on, we're open. Tiger Talk is also brought to you by these premier Tiger sponsors. Golden Belt Bank of Hays and Ellis, providing the best in-home loans to the Tiger community since 1920. BTI, your John Deere dealer, with locations in Buckland, Great Bend, Greensburg, Hoxie, Ness City, and Pratt. The Taco Shop, dine in, carry out, or delivery. You've never had it so good. And G&L Tire and Automotive, complete automotive care and tires for all driving conditions. 201 East 8th on the Bricks in downtown Hays. Now, the voice of the Tigers, Gerard Welbrock.
And a happy Monday to you, and welcome into our first Tiger Talk of the year. Yeah, we are so glad to be with you here on this Monday afternoon. A little different feel to the program this year. We're live here over the noon hour at the Golden Q in Hays, our new host site. We appreciate the Golden Q for hosting us. Unfortunately, the coaches won't be here live. They're going to be remote with all the COVID things going on. But we will still have women's coach Tony Hobson and men's coach Mark Johnson throughout the duration of their season, talking some Fort Hays State basketball. And we are so thrilled to get this one underway. Thursday, Fort Hays State back in action. The Tigers will be at home, getting set to take on the Washburn Ichabods, and we bring in now head women's coach Tony Hobson. Coach, good to have you with us, and I'm sure, like everybody else, you and your team just excited to get out there and hopefully play some basketball on Thursday night.
Well, we've been looking forward to this day for a long time. I mean, hopefully the testing goes well today, and we'll be able to field a team on Thursday and along with our opponents and get to moving. It is kind of a downer that I can't be down at the Q right now because I would like to be eating one of those burgers, but that's the way it goes.
Well, I was going to eat two of them to cover for you, if that's okay. You may not like that, but I probably shouldn't, but
that's all right. You can represent today.
Well, I'll represent you well. How's it gone? Obviously, when we last touched base, you were getting set to go to an NCAA regional, and you had a practice. You're less than 24 hours away from playing in Minnesota Duluth, and then everything ended. And everything's kind of ended until you guys got back to campus. It was probably the most crazy feeling for that, and then just the entire offseason leading up to what hopefully will be the start of the season here on Thursday.
Yeah, it was. I'll tell you what, that was a surreal moment last year when we were in the motel and had got back from practice and eating and just kind of lounging around, getting ready for evening activities before our game the next day. And we find out, and within 2 hours, we're on a bus on the way back to Hays. So it was such a disappointment for our senior class and everybody else that wanted to play. We were playing real well at that time, and we'd won, I think 5 out of our last 6 or something like that, and looking forward to the regional, and I liked our draw. And so we've been trying to take advantage of, that disappointment as far as looking forward to playing this year. Just, hey, nothing is guaranteed. We don't know if we're going to be playing next week or tomorrow or whatever after the testing and things. So I think we have taken less for granted this year probably than any time in recent history, and hopefully that will show when we get on the court. One thing that's tough is that we haven't been able to do any preseason, any scrimmages, any exhibition games, any non-conference, pre-conference games. So I don't know. We'll see what we got Thursday, but it's a little. It's an anxious moment for me because we haven't had any chances to work any kinks out, really.
Well, you're tuned into Tiger Talk, our first program of the year. We're joined by women's head basketball coach Tony Hobson. We're going to take our first break. We're going to dive into what is a new-look Tiger team. There are a lot of familiar faces, but there's a lot of new ones. You'll want to get a program on Thursday night. We'll talk about this year's edition of the Fort Hays State Tigers when we return. We're live at the Golden Q in Hays. It's Tiger Talk on the Tiger Sports Network. Clock. She's in trouble. Finds Barbieri. Back to Kennett with 6. Plays it to Hobbs. Deep three-pointer. She banked it in with 3.5 to go. Timeout Central Oklahoma. Jaden Hobbs, the Alva, Oklahoma native, banks in a three-pointer from 25 feet out, and we're tied at 59. Yeah, some of the action from last season. Big moment there for Jaden Hobbs. She will be back, and one of the names you should know going into the Tiger game on Thursday night. Tiger Talk brought to you in part by Golden Belt Bank of Hays and Ellis, providing the best at home loans of the Tiger community since 1920. To learn more, visit goldenbeltbank.com. We are live at the Golden Q in Hays. The grilled cheeseburger meal, the special today, domestic pints and single wells, all on special. Your food and drink specials here today, so stop on by for lunch or anytime throughout the day at the Golden Q. If the game's on, they're open. Gerard Welbrock and women's head basketball coach Tony Hobson. Tigers getting set to open the season against Washburn at home on Thursday night at 5:30. We heard that highlight from Jaden Hobbs. She's one of the returners. Whitney Randall. I mean, you've got a core of returners, but I guess when you look at this year's team, it's going to be the youth. You've got a lot of freshmen and sophomores that'll be out there, and not only out there, but playing for you guys, it looks like.
Well, we have 14 kids on our roster, and 8 of them are either in the sophomore freshman class. So we do have a lot of young kids, and again, without having any tune-ups, that could be problematic. But I think we have experience back in some really good positions. I mean, the point guard is probably the most important position on the floor as far as having some experience and taking care of the ball and getting us into something, especially when you have a point guard like Jaden who's so solid and such an unselfish player and would rather pass at first than shoot it. So having her back is a real plus, and Whitney Randall stepped into the starting lineup in December when Laney got hurt. So she has a lot of experience. She's been playing a lot for 3 years. Sydney Bergman played a lot for us last year, so she should be ready to go, and she looks good. Madison Mitty, a fifth-year senior, she's going to play a lot, and so we have 4 kids back there that were in the rotation last year, and have a good experience, a lot of games under their belt, and really good basketball people as far as just background, and I mean they have good IQs. I think our 2 sophomores have really improved a lot. I mean, Lauren Reather, Oklahoma City kid, has improved her game a lot, and Allison from Wichita, she's so we have some kids, and they both saw time last year too. So it's one of those things where you're just going to have to you're probably going to have to live with some inexperience issues here early, although there's a couple things. There's good and bad things about these freshmen. The bad thing is that they're inexperienced. The good thing is that they're good. So I think they're probably, some of them are advanced beyond their freshman year. I think that we'll find it out. But so we're hoping some of them can hit the floor running and join these other kids that have the experience, and that we'll be okay.
You mentioned Sydney Bergman, and it seemed like light really flipped on down in Florida. She had that big game, and it just like she took off from that point on and really elevated her play and can do some of those things. She's not the tallest, but very athletic, very quick, can get to the rim, and yet has proven to be a decent rebounder for her size. She's just one of those players that kind of does a lot of things well and a lot of things you don't always find in the stat sheet.
Well, I think with her, her lack of size is just covered up so well by her athleticism. I mean, and you know, nobody told Sydney that she couldn't go in there and get those rebounds, and nobody told her that she couldn't guard a 6'4" girl, and so she just went in and did. Sometimes we limit ourselves just by what we tell ourselves, and she just doesn't do that. She just doesn't think there's any reason she can't go ahead and mix it up. And she's not, you know, she's athletic and she's also really strong, and she's advanced her game even more. I think a lot of that was just confidence level. I mean, she came in doubting whether she could play at all. And I think once a kid gets in there and gets a taste and has a little success, that I think that's what you're talking about when the light came on. I think she just realized, you know, this is I can do this, and she's been doing it since. Had some big games for us last year.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And we just, and Whitney Randall, another one, just have continued to see the growth every year, and the role has changed a little bit moving into that starting job, but she played like a starter leading into when she finally cracked the starting lineup. But just every year you just see the confidence and her abilities to grow each time out.
Well, I think, and I've seen more of it this year, she's playing with more of a leadership attitude, like, you know, I'm not going to sit around and watch and wait for somebody else to do it. You know, I'm going to have to go ahead and take charge here. And I think with her and Jaden, I think they provide each other with kind of a, I don't know, just they settle each other. They know each other from way back. They played high school together, and I think they give each other confidence and a little assuredness that everything will be okay. But I look for Whitney to really be a good scorer for us this year. She's shooting the three extremely well, and just she's an athletic kid, and she plays hard. So I look for big things from Whitney this year.
Talk about some of the youngsters. And before we get into that, I want to ask you about Lauren Reather. She had the injury in high school. We saw her play last year. You can see what you liked about her. Now 2 years removed, you've been able to notice a difference. Seems like you have a severe injury like that. You almost have to get through 1 year, and then you kind of put it behind you, and you go out there and play the way you're capable of playing.
Well, I noticed it right away this fall, just physically. She is way ahead of even where we ended last year. And she wore a knee brace until first semester was over. And you could kind of see her. She was a little ginger there in January, but you could just see her advance. And then finally over the summer, I think she worked really hard, and you could just tell with her knee that she looked physically like what I saw. And I think all it is going to take for her is just some time and some experience, but she's very athletic. She's really quick. She's got a good handle, and she's explosive. So I just think that with her, it's just going to be a little bit of some growing pains of young point guards, and young point guards that like to go fast. You know, it's like a NASCAR rookie that likes to go fast. You know, you might have a wreck every now and then, but once you get through there, if you can live through them, you're going to end up being a really good driver. So I think the same thing is with her. She's just going to take a little bit of time, and she just needs some experience under her belt.
We're live at the Golden Q in Hayes. It is Tiger Talk. We're going to take another break. We're going to come back and talk about some of the freshmen on the roster and look at the schedule. 4-day stay with 3 rivalry games right out of the gate. We'll do that when we return. We're live at the Golden Q in Hayes. If the game's on, we're open. It's Tiger Talk here along the Tiger Sports Network.
That was another legend on 99 KZ Country. And yes, before that, we had a brand new artist. Your home for today's stars and the legends. We play real country. I'm Teresa Trapp. Weather, news, sports, it's all here. We're on Facebook, and there is a listen live link at hayespost.com. Dial us in on your radio at 99.5 FM. KHAZ, Real Country. 99 KZ Country.
Here come the Tigers. Up the floor to Hobbs. Jaden stops. Now to Mitty. A three-pointer. Swish! Madison's hit 2 threes. They've both been in the third quarter. And Fort Hays staying on top, 46-43. Yeah, ended up being the next to last game the Tigers played. That was from the MIAA tournament. Tigers knocking off Pittsburgh State. Madison Mitty. Hopefully hear a lot of those three-pointers throughout the course of the season. Tigers getting set to open up at home against Washburn on Thursday. Tiger Talk presented in part by the Taco Shop. Dine in, carry out, or delivery. Use the Taco Shop app for contactless delivery. The Taco Shop celebrating 50 years in 2020. You've never had it so good. We're live at the Golden Q in Hays, your new home for Tiger Talk. Come on out and join us. The grilled cheeseburger meal on special all day today. They've got domestic pints and single wells on special as well, and karaoke Tuesdays. So make your plans to come on out to the Golden Q. And, hey, Thursday before or after the game, stop on by. We hopefully have Tiger basketball for you at home against Washburn. We'll talk about the Ichabods and the season here a little bit as we're joined by Coach Tony Hobson. Let's talk about your freshmen. You have 6 of them, and I don't know if you're going to redshirt any of them or what your plans were, but now kind of with the NCAA, everybody can get the year back. Does that change how you go about maybe playing some of your freshmen, or you're going to go about it the way you'd kind of envisioned before the season started?
Well, I guess everybody's redshirted this year. So,
yeah.
No, it's not going to really change anything, I don't think. And we might possibly have redshirted a kid, or probably not 2, but maybe 1, maybe not even a freshman. But we don't have to worry about that now. We can just play who we want to, and we don't have to worry about redshirt year. Everybody can get some experience, and we've got a good class. We're excited about our freshmen, and they're going to probably get some good opportunities to play, just because we graduated so many minutes and points last year, that they're going to have to jump in there and get going.
Anything stand out about, I mean, freshmen are freshmen, and like you said, sometimes that's a good thing, sometimes that's a bad thing. I mean, do you feel they're coming along, and you're seeing the progress from when practice started to now, the week before the first game?
Well, yeah. I mean, I would be right now, I would expect at least one of them in the starting lineup, and we haven't started a freshman for 5 years, since Casey Kennett, and she didn't start the whole year. She started part of the year. So we've had enough experience, and our teams have been good enough where we haven't really, our freshmen just haven't been good enough to step in there and play right away, and they've developed and turned into kids like Tatiana Leggett and Carly Heim and Whitney Randall, and you can go down the line. Taylor and Bell from last year. And so to step in there and play right away, they have to be pretty talented. We do have a nice mix. We've got a couple bigs that are good, solid players, and Olivia Hollenbeck from Lincoln. She's 6'3" kid that's a very skilled 5-man. And she will struggle a little bit just with the physicality that we face especially against teams like Washburn and Emporia, because they're about at the top end of that end. So she's going to struggle there a little bit, but I think she'll be fine, and she'll just it's just hard for post players coming out of high school because it's so non-physical in high school, and they can't play physical or they'll foul out right away. So, I look for her to be in there and get some time, and it'll take her a little while to adjust. Jesse Salich is the other 5-man from Western Nebraska, played at a real little school, which is, it can hurt you some ways, but it also helped her because she actually brought the ball up floor and can handle the ball well and pass it. So she's pretty versatile. We've got some other kids that will be playing. Sydney Galladay from Fremont High School is advanced as a guard, and we were lucky probably to get her just the timing was just right. She's coming off a knee injury, and she was being overlooked because she had some really good teammates on her summer team. So she didn't play the summer before we recruited her because of recovering from a knee. And we brought her in, and she wasn't recovered yet, but we kind of took a chance on her a little bit, and boy, am I glad we did, because she just progressed through her senior year and through the summer, and she looks to be a solid guard. Katie Wagner from Mays here in Kansas is 5'11", strong kid that can really rebound the ball, and I look for her to be a factor. And then we have Emma Ruddle from McPherson, Carly Thompson from Denver, that are both athletic kids. They can, they run like crazy, and if these kids will all just stick together and keep working on their games, we're going to see a lot of them and see a lot of success with that class.
All right, before our time left here with you, 3 great rivalry games right out of the gate. I mean, I don't know what you did to upset the conference, but you open with Washburn, you get Emporia, picked to win the league, and then you got to go to Kearney, who's picked to finish second. It's with an only conference schedule, that's a whole different feel. But 3 biggies for you guys right out of the gate.
Well, probably our three biggest games. As far as like knowing who we're playing and rivalries, and we only play Washburn and Emporia once. So yeah, and then you go up to Kearney. So it's a tough, not only you start without any practice games, but it's a tough way to start. But, I just look at the flip side. Do you really think Washburn wants their first game to be here? And do you really think Emporia wants to play here after we beat them by 32 last year here on our home floor? One of their few losses. So it goes both ways, and we're going to have to play them sometime. So let's just get it on and see what happens. I think we'll have, it'll be exciting, and we'll have some good crowds. And, these other teams we're playing, I know a couple of them aren't even letting people in other than parents. So, chances are there'll be a lot of their people trying to get in our place to watch their team play. And I'd just as well see it sold out with our people and not see any of theirs. So we're looking forward to it. And I think, one thing I hope we always do is we're going to play hard, and our kids are going to be prepared and do the best they can. And I guess that's all you can ask at this point.
Well, Tony, good luck. We're glad to hopefully keep our fingers crossed, but between now and Thursday, playing some basketball. Looking forward to the start of the season. Appreciate you joining us here today, and looking forward to seeing you on Thursday night.
Okay. Thanks, Gerard. Hope to see everybody here Thursday.
There you go. That's head coach Tony Hobson, the Fort Hays State women and Washburn. That's a 5:30 tip at a Gross Coliseum. We're going to take another break. When we come back, we'll talk with men's coach Mark Johnson. And we'll get a preview look at the Tiger men as they get set to take on the Ichabods on Thursday as well. This is Tiger Talk from the Golden Q in Hayes along the Tiger Sports Network.
Ready to discover something new? The next time you're in your car, tune your radio to 94.3 FM.
It's here.
It's Hayes' greatest hits.
Love it.
On 1400 KAYS and 94.3 FM.
94.3 FM, KAYS. Go ahead, check us out.
Now, some of the action from a year ago for Fort Hays State men's basketball. Welcome back to Tiger Talk. Brought to you in part by BTI. They're your John Deere dealer with locations in Buckland, Gray Bend, Greensburg, Hoxie, Nest City, and Pratt. BTI, our family, in partnership with your family. We are live at the Golden Q in Hayes, where they have 35-plus TVs now up and running. They've got some of them. You look up, they're bigger than what they've had, so they've replaced a few of those, and great place to watch the game. In fact, if the game's on, they're open here at the Golden Q. We're joined now by men's coach Mark Johnson. We just talked with Tony Hobson about the youth movement on his team, and I think the same can be said for the Tiger men. You guys, 6 freshmen and several others that are sophomores or redshirt sophomores. You'll need a program on Thursday night if you're attending the game. A lot of new faces out there for you guys.
Yeah, I think, we got 6 freshmen, 3 sophomores, so 9 of our 14 guys on our team are underclassmen. So this is the youngest team we've had since I've been here, and so it'll be interesting, and we knew we were going to be a young team, and we were going to play some young guys. I think with The injuries and things we've had here, we're probably even going to be younger than maybe we anticipated. So, and we, you don't have the luxury of as many of the scrimmages you've had in the past. You don't have the luxury of any non-conference games. So we're going to be put right to the test against, Washburn. I think preseason number 3, very veteran team. Really have, I think all their starters back. Plus they got the McKee kid back who started the year before, who missed last year with injury. So we'll have a big test opening weekend, and it's been a long preseason, probably longer than most. Like I said, we're starting later, but we also didn't have some scrimmages to kind of break up your practices. So I know our guys are excited to get out there and go play outside competition.
Yeah, unfortunately, you mentioned, Nige Wright's one of those guys a bit dinged up right now, kind of the residual effects of COVID for an off-season procedure that just ended up taking longer, and he's not recovered. And that's unfortunately one of those positions you like to be veteran, especially in the weird year like this, all conference games, to have probably some freshmen having to handle the point guard duty can be a little daunting.
Yeah, I mean, both our point guards will be freshmen, and it'll be their first college games. And yeah, not having Nige and I mean, that's a big loss. Not only is your point guard, but also he was our second leading scorer. We only had 2 guys in double figures, Jared Victorman and Nige. So we were kind of expecting a good year from him. And I think as we go on, some news we found out, I think it's even, we were hoping to just have him miss first semester. I think it's going to be longer than that. It could be longer than that. So he might just end up missing the whole year, which will be, a tough go. But hey, opportunities for young people to come in and get some experience.
Talk with Tony Hobson a little bit about this. With everybody getting the year back, does that change how you would maybe go about playing some of these young guys?
Well, I think that's part of it, but I also, if we're being honest with ourselves too, I think it's how your season is going also is a factor. I think, Hagen Hilgendorf's a guy that we think's got a bright future, 6'10" kid from Hastings, Nebraska. Really skilled guy. Probably before this, he was a definite red shirt, just like a Jared Victorman. Needs a full year in the weight room, just experience. I think now that he's not going to red shirt, and obviously with, right now we're probably going to be without 3 guys that we thought were going to play this year between injuries and everything. So we're pretty thin. So I don't even know if we can really afford to redshirt anybody. I think if you look at it, guys that you feel like can go out and play and give us a chance to win, we're probably at the number 9. You know what I mean? And so we're going to have to play that guy. So I think our lack of depth, and then because you can bring a year back, a guy like Hagen was a guy. But I think overall, besides someone maybe like him, probably doesn't change a whole lot what we're going to do.
You mentioned Jared Victorman. Boy, he really turned it on and had just a phenomenal season. And obviously he's a guy you're going to be leaning on here heavy this year to continue and hopefully even build off of what he did last year.
And I think he can do that. I mean, he's a better player than he was a year ago. Last year he averaged, 16 points, 8 rebounds in conference play. And you sit there and go, well, I think he might be a better player, but I don't know statistically you're going to do, you can do much better. But I feel like he's much better in the post this year. He's much better attacking closeouts, when they're coming at him on a shooting. So I think he's just an all-around better offensive player than a year ago. And we're going to have to throw it inside to him and others. I think, like I said, we started the year with 7 guards. We're down to 4. Some of those are inexperienced. How much are they going to be able to play right away and help us win? I don't know. So, I mean, we're going to have to go out there and play a lot of big guys. And I think the key to our team then is we're going to have to throw it inside, whether it be to Jared in the post, Gilbert in the post. B from Iceland's a much improved player from a year ago. Hagen's a 6'10" kid. Trajan Davis is really a 4-man, but I think he's going to have to play some 3. And I think that's going to be out of necessity. He's going to have to play some 3. So I don't think he's going to be able to probably show what we feel like he can do in the future, because to me, he's more of a Hadley Gillum type player. Back to the basket, 17-foot guy, shoot the open 3, but not really be on the 3-point line making plays as a guard, but he's just going to have to do that. So we're going to have to play inside out more than we probably have in quite some time.
Gilbert Peters, a kid, sophomore from Copeland, South Gray High. Seemed like toward the end of the year, it started to come together for him. And I kind of remember it was one of the road trips, and he struggled and And I think you in practice just kind of told him, you're one of the biggest guys on the floor, play like it. And it just seemed like that next game he was more aggressive, hit some shots, got some rebounds. Sure you're expecting him to take that next step, but it seemed like maybe he was starting to figure it out toward the end of last year.
Yeah, he did. I mean, he got a little more playing time, was effective for us, and he has to have a bigger role this year. And again, I agree. That's something, he's just a big guy, and he can move that body around. At times, he's just a nice kid. He's a big teddy bear. No one's walked up to Gilbert and got in his face ever in his life. He's a big dude. So he's just a big old teddy bear, like I said. And we need him to get a little bit more nasty down there and use that body, use that frame, push people out of the way. And I think the biggest improvement, I feel like offensively, he's really had a good preseason. He needs to continue to rebound better. Your center has to be able to rebound, and I think he can. That's an area that he needs to keep getting better at.
You kind of touched on Bjarne Janssen from Iceland. I can't imagine how difficult it was for him. One, just coming from Iceland to go to Fort Hays State, just that adjustment as a student, and then you throw in basketball, and it's a different country, and I'm sure the game's different, and just learning everything. Just feels like maybe he's more comfortable this year and maybe starting to see some things from him in practice that you're hoping you're going to translate onto the floor on game days.
Yeah, he'll have to play a lot for us. And I tell you, when he's really the international, when you think international basketball player, I think what we think is highly skilled, can really shoot it, maybe not that athletic, maybe not the most physical kid on the floor, but really – and he is almost the complete opposite. B is really athletic, and he is tough. He's as tough as any kid we've had here. He will play hard. He is physical. Big concern with him is staying out of foul trouble. I mean, because he's just 100 miles an hour. And he's really what he is. He's kind of that old school kind of power forward, high post in the block kind of player. The thing he needs to continue to get better at is improve that three-point shot, and that's still a work in progress. And that's really with, him, Gilbert, and Jared are probably going to be I would say our main bigs, but we're going to have to play them together at time, all three of them. And that kind of takes away where he's at his best. So probably sliding Jared down to the three. But yeah, he's a lot more comfortable, just playing with a lot more confidence and being able to do what he does well. And I tell you, him, and we'll talk about, Caleb Hammocky, the two things those guys bring that we just did not have last year. They bring an element of athleticism and toughness and defense. Last year, I didn't feel like we didn't have anybody out there that you could really put out there as either we didn't have that mentality or body makeup. We weren't big enough, athletic enough, strong enough. We couldn't do that. B and Caleb make our defense a lot better, but it's going to be kind of a give and take, shooting the ball and offensively a little bit with that lineup.
Now the Tigers, cross your fingers, getting underway Thursday at home against Washburn. Coach Butchin picked third in the preseason, but a very veteran squad coming to Gross Coliseum. We'll take our final break of the show, preview the rest of the team, and look ahead at their first game this Thursday night as we continue on Tiger Talk. We're live at the Golden Q in Hayes and on the Tiger Sports Network.
Fact: 8th Street Liquor is where good times start. Next fact: 8th Street Liquor has the best selection and prices on beer, liquor, and wine. Okay, I don't want to bore you with all the facts, but the fact of the matter is, you just can't get better than 8th Street Liquor. Yep, 8th Street Liquor, where good times start. That's the fact. Jack? Oh yes, they have plenty of Jack too.
Here's Victorman on the right wing, and loaded Gilbert Peters, who catches and lays it in. Gilbert Peters with his first basket, and Fort Hays State has their first double-figure lead, 60-50. What a good find by Victorman. Gilbert able to lay it in. Yeah, that was, I think, the Newman game last year, final game of the regular season. Gilbert played well. Tigers got that victory. Tiger Talk brought to you by G&L Tire and Automotive, complete automotive care and tires for all driving conditions. G&L Tire and Automotive, 201 East 8th on the bricks in downtown Hayes. We are at the Golden Q in Hayes. Gerard Walbrock and remotely joining us, head men's coach Mark Johnson. Tigers getting set to start the season on Thursday night against the Washburn Ichabods. And talking about the Tigers a little bit. We'll preview Washburn here shortly. You mentioned some of the youth. They're going to see some different roles. Devin Walker, a guy who is kind of hurting didn't get a practice a lot, but he's back with you. You've returned Jackson Miller, one of the bigs. Quentin Rock, a freshman. I mean, a lot of new faces asked to contribute here this go around this season, and what will be a very different type year with only conference games.
Yeah. So we got a lot of new guys. It will be interesting, with just 22 conference games and all that. But yeah, I think up front we have a lot of depth. The problem is a lot of those guys are going to have to slide down and play guard positions. I think this season the two things that are really concerning is how well we're going to shoot the ball. The game requires it. Today's game, it's a lot of times a 3-point shooting contest, and how well are we going to shoot it, and then what kind are we going to have enough depth, especially in the backcourt, to overcome. But I would say that, if you're looking at what are the two areas of concern is shooting and just depth from our team.
And you kind of touched on it, hopefully with a little bit more athleticism, better defensively, because it seemed like that was a major problem all of last season, and probably one of the reasons you weren't able to get into the conference tournament.
No question. We weren't great offensively, but we've had a lot of teams that were at that level just good enough. We just could not defend to the level that we're accustomed to and need to be good enough. A lot of that was more personnel, body types. We weren't very big. We weren't very athletic. That's kind of a deadly combination defensively to have. I think this year we'll be a much better defensive team. I think we have more length. We're a little more, we're quicker, cover more ground and all that. So I think, and that's an area that we're going to have to be really good at if we expect to win games. We're going to have to really lock some teams down in that and try to get some turnovers and see if we can get lead to some easy offense with our defense.
Open up with Washburn. Then you have Emporia. Then you go to Kearney. Three big rival. You could argue the three biggest rivalry games that you have right out of the gate. And with only conference play, every game is just so important now. And you open it up with a very good Washburn team. So kind of a challenging early season start to your schedule. Not that any other games won't be challenging.
Yeah, no doubt. The NCAA, that's what we talked. Everybody, just the strength of it. It's a tough league. It's every day. And Washburn's a veteran team, got really good perimeter players. Kyler Guyman was a first-team all-league guy. The Lewis kid, the backcourt guy, is a good player. And then what they do is they play really hard defensively. They pressure. Here we are. We're going to play our first game. And I think the two things they do more than anybody we play, they'll play faster than anybody we play all year. So transition defense will be of premium, and they pressure you more than they don't let you make the next pass. And more than anybody will play all year. So immediately transition defense and be able to handle pressure and not stand. Young guys, when they get overplayed, they like to stand a lot. You know what I mean? And then are we going to be able to back cut and move? And really you want people to pressure you like that. But if you don't get people movement and ball movement, they're just going to swallow us up. So that'll be adjusted. We got a lot of guys coming from high school that have never seen this kind of pressure, and they're going to have to be able to handle that immediately. So really, it'll be interesting. I think, especially early on for us, and what I got to tell myself as a coach: patience. And we're going to have some adversity, and we're going to have some negative things happen, and we just need to keep building for the long haul of the season. And hopefully, good things happen early. But if not, we got to have patience and continue to try to get better.
All right, Mark, sounds good. Appreciate you joining us today. Hope to see you on Thursday at the Coliseum for some Tiger basketball.
I appreciate it, Gerard. Thank you.
There you go. Head coach Mark Johnson. The Tigers at home Thursday night. 5:30 for the women, 7:30 for the men. We're on the air at 5:05 with the Auto World pregame show, and that's going to wrap it up for our first Tiger Talk. It's brought to you by these premier Tiger sponsors. The Taco Shop. You've never had it so good. Golden Belt Bank of Hayes and Ellis, one story at a time. BTI, your area John Deere dealer. G&L Tire and Automotive on the bricks in downtown Hayes. And, of course, here at the Golden Q, just a couple of blocks east of campus on 8th Street. If the game's on, they're open. They've got 35-plus big TVs all throughout. Take advantage of drink and lunch specials throughout the week here at the Golden Q. That's going to wrap up our first show. We'll talk to you again next week, next Monday, 12:15 for Tiger Talk on the Tiger Sports Network.